Okay, this is for patterns, and this is one of my favorite things to do because I make patterns. I do them for murals, I do them for textiles, I'll do them for a lot of different things. But anyway, patterns are a really fun way to spice up anything that just is a little bland. Backgrounds, of course, interiors of things. So you'll probably find quite a few uses once you see how easy it is to make these. So the first thing you need is an object, which we refer to as a motif when you're creating patterns. So go ahead and select it. And before I forget, you can also make multiple things, like a grouping of things, into a pattern motif as well. It doesn't have to just be one thing, it could be many. So technically this is many because you can see all the different vector lines here, but all you have to do to make a pattern is go to Object, Pattern, Make. And then what it does is it makes a new swatch. Can you see that over here? And it makes the pattern for you based on your motif. Now, you can go ahead, name it what you want to, and there are different pattern types, as you know. So it could be by brick, which you can offset, based on your liking. It could be brick by column, gives you again a slightly different look. Hex by column won't change this too much because this is kind of hexagonal in the way that it's been built, but you can change, you can see it's overlapping a little too much. If you like that, then they're fine, but if you want a little bit more room, you can size the tile to the art and give it a little bit more space. So in this case, that's not a lot, so I'm going to try like 0.25 of an inch. That's maybe needs a little bit more. And again, you can do that for the vertical spacing as well. So you can keep adding space no matter what you do, by the way. It's not just for the hex by column, but any of these settings you can change. So, it's a pretty fun thing to use. Now, what this is saying here, and this is helpful in my opinion, is it shows you what your main motif is. So for this one, sometimes you might want to see it more clearly. If you want to see it at 100%, you can, but it'll always show you this little bounding box so you know what your original is. There you go. Now your original, while it's in here, is editable, and so if you decide, let's see, like if you decide you want a different color, then all of them will change color, etc. And then you just, if you're done with it, you just click this little button up here that says done, and then you've got a pattern that's now in your swatches. Now this does not just generally appear anywhere, you have to make it apply. So I could drag a shape or text and create something, and then instead of a fill color, I choose a pattern. Now you can do a lot of variations of something. Let's say that I like it, but the motif is too large. I can duplicate that swatch, double click it, go back into the motif, select it, and shrink it. And then I could resize the tile to the art, or I can leave the spacing however I want to do it, and it'll collapse it back down. And again, say done. And then I can just hit the new, you've got your different variations right there. You could do different colors, whatever you want to. And just to recap for this one, if you wanted something more than one thing to become a motif, you just have to make sure all of it's selected, and then again do the exact same thing as before, select pattern, make, and you can see now that that one would have two. And that is as easy as pattern making is. It's really quite simple. Remember that your motifs can be incredibly complex and dizzying. As long as you place them inside of a basic simple pattern, you've got it made. Now one thing you'll notice here before I finish is that there is no background color. And generally, if you want a background color, what you should do instead would be to duplicate your, where'd my layers go? You'd want to duplicate the shape itself. So this polygon would be duplicated, okay? Then the one underneath, I would choose it, recolor it with a color that I wish to have as the background color, and then you could have a background color. But you do not want to set up a background color in the motif itself because it ends up having little lines where the edge of your pattern is beginning and ending. It's not cool. So that's a little warning. It's hard to make a background color anyway, except for this one.